What's up, guys? I'm pretty sure a lot of you know that you've seen a lot of this on Twitter since the Fortnite World Cup had just concluded. Everyone's saying, oh my god, why is there such a gap between Fortnite and everybody else? How come Fortnite is doing so much bigger and better and doing bolder things with their prize pools, having sustainable living for people making 50th? Even when they have to split it with a teammate, are still getting paid more than people who are winning FGC majors, getting first place, winning the whole enchilada. And look, let me tell you something. I know a lot of you guys don't want to hear it, but here's the truth. This is Super Smash Brothers. Super Smash motherfucking Brothers. If you take the original Super Smash Brothers, projected to have sold around about 5 million copies, almost 6, then you take Super Smash Brothers Melee, which we know is like the granddaddy of them all, of competitive Smash Bros. In terms of what a lot of people like to believe, and that sold a little shy of 8 million. So let's just say we round 14 million. All right, here you have Super Smash Brothers Brawl, which was almost 14 million. So, if you add everything up so far, we'll give you 6, we'll give you 8, that's 14. You got about 13, but we'll give you another 14 here. We'll round up in favor of you guys. That's 28. Then here you got about 15. All right, that's kind of cool. Now you're sitting at around 43, and Ultimate's on its way up with about the same, so we'll give you another 14. So 14 plus 14 plus 14, even though we're rounding up heavily, that's 42, plus another 14. Well, wow, that's kind of convenient. 14 times 4, that's easy math. You got 56 million units. Bravo! 56 million! Woohoo! Now let's look at another game like Street Fighter V, or Street Fighter 4 in this case, where we're going to take each version of Street Fighter 4, whether it's on the PlayStation 3 and 360, whether it's on Steam, whether it's on, the 3DS, whether it's the original, vanilla, super, arcade edition, 3D edition, or ultra, which is a little bit down here. So let's add up these numbers, shall we, for 4, which had multiple re-releases, multiple versions. So let's talk about it. So let's just say, I don't know, we're going to round up, even though this is technically 3.4, we're going to round up. We're going to say that's 4 million. We're going to add 109. We're going to add a 900,000. So this is 1 million. So even though it's 162,000, we're going to just say, fuck it, it's a million. This will work better for the math. This will work better for the numbers. We're making it better for the Street Fighter side. So let's just say altogether 5 million here. Then you got another 2 million. Then you got another million here. So where are we at now? That's 2 plus 5, that's 7, 8, and then you got 9 here, and then you got your 10 here, and we'll just say, oh no, that's Street Fighter X Tekken. Screw it, we'll add Street Fighter X Tekken in there too. That's another 2 million. So you know what? We'll just add this whole era together. So you'll have 1.5, we'll round up 2 million, 2 million, 2 million. So let's see. And you know what? Screw it. We'll round that up too. So there's 2, 4, 6. Then you have 7, 8. Then you'll have 10. Then you'll have, as we said, re-rounding both of these up, 1 to a million. So we'll say 15 million copies from the Street Fighter 4 era. 15 million. And what we say? It was 56 million for the Smash all time from the N64 era all the way up to the Switch. Keep that in mind. Keep all that in mind. Now, all of that being said, 40 million different accounts participated. 40 million participated in the World Cup qualifiers for Fortnite. That's not even everybody who's ever played the game. That's only 40 million who participated in the qualifiers. That is what you're dealing with. That is the behemoth that Fortnite has become. That is the beast, the mastodon, the beast incarnate in which you guys are competing with and trying to get this esports money. Now, all that being said, let's say for whatever reason, we're going to take every single copy of what's the most popular Street Fighter game that they've sold in the modern era. Let's go back to that chart. 3.5 mil. Let's say 3.5 mil for PS3. Let's say 4.4 mil. If you were to do 4 million for whatever reason, we'll do 4.5. We'll do 4.5 mil. And then you multiply that times 60, right? Do you know what you got right there? You know what you got right there? You have a huge number. Would you like to read that number to the class? Certainly. 270, what's that? $1 million. You made $270 million off of the entire Street Fighter 4 era. Impressive! Impressive! Fortnite pulls in $300 million a month. Street Fighter 4 gets trumped monthly by Fortnite, if any of these reports are to be believed. If any of these reports are monthly. Fortnite makes how much a month? Some people say 300 million. Some people say it's 100 million. Some people saying 296 million, 223 million. So we know within at least every quarter year, it makes more than every version of Street Fighter 4 in terms of base sales numbers. And we rounded in favor of Street Fighter. Now, if you want to add some people buying DLC, costumes, cosmetics, maybe this number gets another 40, 50 mil on it. Cool, whatever. But this is the type of beast that you're going to have to deal with when they can make 300 million in a month. In a month. So when they have these 5, 10, $15 million prize pools, it's nothing. To them, it's nothing. It is not even a drop in the bucket that they scooped out of the ocean of money that they can pour for this game. Because you got to remember, Epic Games, who developed this, also has an Epic Games store. And if you go on the Epic Games store right now, right? Let's just say you're going on the Epic Games store. You want to check it out. You want to peep, right? They have exclusive games on there, like they get some of that Borderlands 3 money when that game officially drops. They're going to get some of that Rune 2 money. They're going to get some of that Tetris Effect money. They're going to get some of this Ancestors, the Humankind Odyssey money. They're going to get that Darksiders 3 money. They're going to get Rebel Galaxy Outlaw money. They're going to get that Shenmue 3 money. They're going to get that Outer Wilds money, that Watch Dogs Legions money, that Satisfactory Early Access Trains Nuclear Update money. They're going to get that Dauntless money, that World War Z money. They're going to get that Cyberpunk 2077 money. They're going to get that Heavy Rain money. They're going to get that Omen of Sorrow, Sinking City, The Outer Worlds, Gods of Monsters, Bloodlines, Ghost Recon. They're going to get The Sojourn. They're going to get Slime Rancher. They're going to get Hades, Anno, Far Cry Primal, Sherlock, Beyond Two Souls, The Division, Watch Dogs, Trover Saves the Universe, Journey, Phoenix Point, all these games, Control, which is a game I'm super looking forward to, by the way. They're going to get Metro money, Detroit money, John Wick money, You see my point? They're going to be getting money from each and every single one of these franchises. They're going to be taking a percentage as the store that is overseeing the monetary transactions going on between you and obviously the consumers and them when you buy it from their store. And a lot of these things are going to end up having exclusivity of being sold on the Epic Games store, which means you can only give Epic Games the money for you to even enjoy some of these titles on a PC because they're not going to be coming to Steam. That's a lot of ways to generate income on top of 300 million per month, 200 million on some months, 100 million on some months. Who's really counting here? That is why it is so hard for these other genres like fighting games that are obviously not very popular in the overall grand scheme of things to catch Epic Games and what they're able to produce in terms of their esports environment. Now, all of that being said, you may be saying, well, that may be true, but what about the FGC as a whole? There's a bunch of you guys. There's a bunch of games, and you're right. But you got to understand something when it comes to all the games that are in the FGC, whether they're old, new, NRS, Capcom, Anime, Namco Bandai. You know what I meant. Point is, all those games are separate entities worth of communities. It's not one big holistic thing. Like Evo is like our Captain Planet. We're like anime, NRS, Capcom, old school, and then some fifth thing that you want to do, that like some gimmick game, because we got the gimmick games where it's like, oh, it's only one button, or you can only do one thing at a time. So gimmicks with all powers combined. It's Captain Evo. Hey, here we go. War Zero. Like, you got to come up with some song for that or some shit. Like, I don't know, like Captain Evo, he's our hero. Our goals take our opponent's health to 0. I don't know, maybe something like that. I don't know. I'm not really the best at coming up with songs on the fly, but that's not the point. The point is that is what like our Evos and our other super majors and just regular majors are. I guess Smash is big enough, definitely, to have its own set of gimmicks. It's Smash, and then you do the whole thing. Anyway, that's not the point. Point is, that's what we have to do. And you could arguably say that since Mario is one of the most popular video games and video game IPs of all time, that maybe Nintendo is sitting on a gold mine in terms of their esports industry, and that they could do something with that. But you already know they don't really fucks with the Smash kids to that level where they're willing to give them the biggest platform to run the game like that. I mean, Nintendo sees it like, oh no, when we run events, we have to have items on. We have to have the crazy, wacky stage transitions. And I mean, that's what the Nintendo Invitationals are all about. That's what they do. That's how they run it. And speaking of that, that's kind of like the Fortnite model. I mean, Battle Royale games have clearly, and I do mean clearly, have set the tone for casuals and competitive folk to have built-in excuses when they lose. You drop in a Battle Royale game, you know what happens? Oh, man, I didn't find any good loot. Oh, man, my teammates were trash. Oh, man, darn, that person got the best gun in the game and purple armor. Man, this sucks. Man, this game is trash. But you'll still be there 2 minutes later, because even though you died, as soon as you die, guess what? It's over. It's immediate. It's like you just rip that Band-Aid off, you're queued up for your next game, and you're going in. In fighting games, let me tell you something. You don't get those options. In fighting games, if someone is much better than you and you get them in a ranked match, or you know they're playing a matchup that you just hate playing, you already know that you got to sit down, grab your seatbelt, buckle up for 3 to 5 minutes of 100% pain, and welcome to the no fun zone. You're not cleared for takeoff. You're not racking up free flyer miles. It's about to be pain, suffering, and a cornucopia of hurt that awaits you. And you know that going in. And you just watch your character get just dropped on for about 15, 20 minutes. Obviously, it's not 15, 20 minutes. It's like 5 or 6 minutes. But the point is, like, man, I lost. Not we. Not RNG. Me. I took the L. And a lot of people are not built to have that conversation in order to get better of what could I have done to be better? What could I have done to reach the next level? What can I work on to better myself to make sure that I am the better person? And if you want to go by these sales charts, this has added up every single Street Fighter title, from arcades to Fighting Streets, the OG, all the way up to Street Fighter 3. And this also includes the Marvel vs. Street Fighters and Street Fighter Alpha series. And this says it sold about 45 million copies of everything. Like, if everything was put together, 45 million copies. Or I should say 46 if you want to round up. 46 million copies. 40 million people participated in just the mere qualifiers. The mere qualifiers of the Fortnite World Cup. Just to put this in perspective on what you're dealing with. That is what you got to pay attention to. Plus, as I said, with their store, they already have secondary income. So obviously, once again, all these games in which they are also going to be lining Epic Games' pockets. It's very easy to see why they're so ahead of the game monetarily, to see why their tournaments are able to have such huge prize pots, and make sure even if you get 50th place, you are paid handsomely, well, and on time, promptly at the event. So you can't hate them for that. You genuinely can't. But when it comes to fighting games, you got to understand, just because someone likes Street Fighter doesn't mean they give a damn about Mortal Kombat. Just because someone likes Mortal Kombat doesn't mean they give a damn about Tekken Or if they like Tekken, then they may not give a damn about Guilty Gear. If you like Guilty Gear, you may not give a fuck about Under Night. If you like Under Night, you may not care about Dragon Ball. If you like Dragon Ball, you may not care about Grand Blue Fantasy Versus or whatever it's called. And if you like that, you may not care about Smash Brothers. You know what I'm saying? Like, necessarily, these games don't always have the biggest amount of overlap where it's a holistic community. You know what I'm saying? It's just that we're under one roof every other weekend because we have tournaments like every other weekend at this point. Or if you're counting conventions as well, every single week. There's always something going on somewhere in the world. And with how weeklies have started to make their prominent return, we almost got something going on every day in the FGC. Somewhere in the world, you can find some FGC content. Just saying. However, that being said, none of the games, well, outside of maybe the Tekken World Tour, and even then, obviously, and the Street Fighter Capcom Cup, although there are world tours for like Guilty Gear, like, Arc Revo and all that other stuff, they're not as big as these other companies because, let's face it, when we run our tournaments, they're all in one venue. They're all coming together. And every now and then, they'll have their own separate events. No one's dismissing that. But overall, as a community, as a whole, our majors are when all the games are there at one time to get their shine. But when you look at the bigger games like a League of Legends or a Dota, even though they're both MOBAs, you're not going to see the League of Legends guys going, "Ah, yes, Dota. I believe that we should come together and have a super event. Call it MOBACon. And then in the undercard, we can have Heroes of the Storm and various other MOBAs come to the table. Even the ones that are all mobile. They could be the undercard, the Friday night games, while we split Saturday and Sunday. And then, they're not going to have that conversation because they're too big for that conversation because they're self-sufficient, can do it on their own, make that money, make that guap, and they can sustain their stuff for as long as they want. To be honest, I mean, how long have these games been out? Like, I think these games have been out for at least 10 years now. They've been out for a minute, and they still out here pushing the content. Because when things are free to play, over time, you drop $5 here, $10 here, getting loot boxes, loot crates, or buying specific characters. Look, it adds up. You may not even think it adds up, but if you go look, it adds up. Average spent on Fortnite. I see what the average spent on. So this says that the average is $85 for those who spend money on it, and 69% of players spend money. So let's just say, for example, if we only talk about just the players that played in the Pro-Am or the World Tour or World Cup, whatever they want to call it for Fortnite. If we only talk about the 40 mil, right? Well, hold on. The 40 mil, they multiply that times $84. That's more money than the Street Fighter made. Just off those players alone. Just off those players, if they're the average. Just off those players. And let's just say, oh, well, they spent below average, and let's just say they spent $40, right? That would just make half as much. Actually, no, that's a little over half of what Street Fighter 4 made throughout its entire history. Now, granted, I got to crack a lot more barriers down than a couple of Google searches, but this is just to give you an idea of what we're talking about with how big Fortnite is. Now, obviously, I can bust out the fine tools and start chiseling and refining and making sure the research is a little bit more thorough, obviously, in a couple of Google searches and a couple of calculator equations. But I'm just trying to show you how far ahead that they are before we can crunch down obviously the concrete figures. These are just rounded numbers to just sort of emphasize a point of just how big Fortnite is. Not to diminish how small the FGC is, because the FGC is ever growing. But it has a long, treacherous, and tedious road before they can even get in the conversation about the conversation of saying, hey, Fortnite, we're equals. Just saying. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, that aside, let's go play some fighting games. So yeah, guys, how are you all doing? Hopefully you're all doing well.